Welcome to Footy Kicking Good. I'm Jamie Marias. On the couch today, we got Michael Flynn, Mikhail Quinless, the usuals. How are you doing, boys?
I think we're doing a little bit better than Jamie.
Oh, yeah, great.
So, to the audience, we're fresh off the Easter Monday clash. So, it finished probably 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And we got to watch our man Jamie just slink into his chair.
Yeah.
It's the ups and downs of a close game as well. So.
Look, I'm used to it now. The absolute curse that is Geelong on the Hawthorn Football Club.
Can it curse, eh?
There's a little stat I was looking at in the off-season. It was something like every premiership year Hawks have had, they've beaten Geelong at some point during that year. And this is our only matchup for the year. So it's either we got to meet them in finals.
That's crazy that you're not doubling up on them.
Yeah, I know.
Give the fans what they want.
They did last year, but we had to go down to the Cattery and play them there, which didn't go that well for us as well. Yeah. But look, I don't know what it is, but just the players just never. It's the big lights or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it's just a curse. That's what it is.
They were speaking during the call, the commentators, about the blustery conditions, whatever. Didn't really seem to affect Geelong in the same way it affected the Hawks. I don't think, and you mentioned it during the game, I don't think I've seen more just like dropped uncontested marks, kicks under no pressure, just going straight out on the full.
What even hard is 15-metre kicks or just uncontested marks
like
all by themselves.
Bruce put one right just straight on the full.
I think Gunston had 3 out on the full as well.
Yeah, and Sicily had a shot to bring it back to a goal and kicks it out in the full. That's unbelievable. He was kicking it. It was like he was wearing the wrong boots or something today.
I think the commentators made a similar comment. Yeah, look, I feel like I know what Mickey feels. You know,
what's the lose every week?
Yeah, but
welcome to my world, Jamie.
Mixed team usually aren't in it in the last couple of minutes. So
we will on Friday.
You were on Friday. Fair play. Fair play.
All right, yeah. Enough about my mob because I'm over and I still need to decompress a little bit.
Yeah.
But guys, let's talk about what do we want to talk about? What did you guys learn? I guess. What have you learned over the last couple of weeks, or really? Is there anything that's really popped your fancy?
A couple of weeks. I can't even remember, to be honest. I've learned that Collingwood are a bloody good side. But that's not what I'm actually... We're on fire at the moment. But what I wanted to go with was... and I have to sort of go back on something that I said in the preseason, but North of just... Their list is a mess, in my humble opinion. It's... In terms of the profile of the list,
like too many
midfielders.
Yeah,
so I said in the preseason when they drafted Finn O'Sullivan, I think I said you can't have too many good mids. But I'm actually going to backflip on that and say yes, you can, because we saw on the weekend Will Phillips as a pick 3, and he's playing in the VFL, and then you got Finn O'Sullivan who's a pick 2 playing in like almost as like a small defender, which I just don't see for him. McKerch is playing a whole host of different roles. They're just struggling to get it all in sync. And besides that, like the only key position player that I'd bank on in the whole list is Larky. Like if you look at
not Paul Curtis,
he's a small.
Oh, sorry, key position.
Key position. Yeah. So you look at like. Teams in a rebuild, I think, need to like think about what their spine is going to look like going forward. North don't have a clear spine. Like it seems, I think Comben is actually a forward. I think he's playing there because they don't have anyone else. And if you look on the flip side to a team like Richmond, they're 1 draft and 6 games into a rebuild. You can already see a clear spine developing in that team. Whereas North's had 6 years and haven't done the same. Yep. So you look at Richmond and you say, well, I like the look of Jonty Fall. Luke Traynor looks great as a key defender. Jacob Blight has played forward and back. Harry Armstrong looked really good in that game against Brisbane. They've identified that like you need like a strong core of key positional players. North just, for whatever reason, have spent the last 6 years drafting midfielders.
Can you blame them though in sense of like they've had high draft picks, but they've seemed to have taken the best player available?
That's the thing though. Like the top draft picks are mainly midfielders, and it's like you're not going to get the best players.
So I agree with you, but like last year, for example, I think they made a huge blunder on draft night. I think that because they missed out on the flying Viking, who we know he hasn't played a game yet. I can't think of his name right now.
Alex Taru.
Yeah. So he ended up going to St Kilda.
Yeah.
They almost panicked and to get Whitlock in and sold away what's going to end up being another probably top 2 draft pick to Richmond. And it's like, I feel like they could have done a little bit more over the last couple of years of just like splitting high draft picks and like going after positional players that are required. Yeah. Because you can't have any success if you don't have good key defenders.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about that draft is that Matt Whitlock wasn't even the highly touted brother. So I don't think Joe had gone at that point. I think it's Joe or Jack.
Yeah.
He hadn't gone at that point. And like they were still offering a first rounder at that point for him. And I don't think he was any strife of going within those next few picks.
Yeah.
So they probably could have offered a future second, and that probably would have been.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like we've seen other teams that have a surplus like Geelong, a surplus of key backs, key tools. They pick up Conor O'Sullivan last year at the draft, or the year prior at the draft, who looks like he's going to be a great backman. And it's like, I feel like North have just like really missed out on a lot of these guys.
I think the smart move would have been at last year's draft to split pick 2, basically.
Well, because St Kilda and Melbourne had 2 picks in the top 10.
Yeah.
So I think they could have worked something out.
Yeah.
I just think that Finn O'Sullivan isn't going to be what they need going forward.
What do you think about McKercher? Because McKercher was drafted as a mid, and he seems to be playing this more of a utility, I feel like, role, mainly off the half back or half forward.
He's gone backwards this year. Yeah. I think he's close to getting dropped. I think he's had some really poor games.
I wouldn't say it's his fault necessarily because he's been played out of position.
But part of it as well is like when you draft all these midfielders, you look at it and go, well, what's their point of difference in the side?
Yeah.
And to me, there's not a huge point of difference. I think Wardlaw is the one because of his just like manic attack on the ball.
Yeah.
Like you can build something around him. Sheasel's disposal. The others are all sort of,
you don't know what you're going to get.
You don't know.
For me, I think McKercher's gone to Tassie when Tassie comes through. I think there'll be more money.
Yeah.
And just the promise of playing that midfield role.
Yeah.
I don't think you can say no to that.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to carry on with the North talk because my topics kind of revolve around that, and I've got 2, so I'm going to, go over them kind of briefly. But the first one is LDU. LDU signed a 7-year contract for $1.3 million, and I think that was a horrible move by the North Melbourne Football Club.
Yeah, I agree.
On the back of what you just said, they've got a surplus of midfielders. They haven't got a first round pick in this year's draft, so letting him go to another team would have probably netted you a first rounder this year, which it looks like you really need. And there's some good key position prospects there as well. There's a great ruck in next year's draft who should finish up high. Would have been a great prospect for them.
Do you think that these teams like North that struggle to bring in players like quality in trades go way too hard on like keeping their quality because they're like,
they don't want to lose.
We don't want to lose.
They don't want to be like, oh, we've lost another player kind of thing. I think even who did that? They used to just bring in anyone back in there. They used to get those guys from Port Adelaide.
North did. Pollock and Pittard and
then.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is paying 1.3 off your salary cap to LDU. I mean, I feel like that money should be reserved for guys like Merritt and Cripps. Like, if you told me they were being paid 1.3, and I'm sure they wouldn't be far off it.
And the thing is, so they would. I heard someone talking the other night on TV, and they were saying if he's 1.3, what's Matt Rowell worth?
Yeah.
And to me, Rowell is a much better player.
100%.
So I'm like, and younger.
Yeah.
So you look at it and go, well, like, how does this inflate the whole market? Like, is it all going to crash off the back of?
Yeah.
Because I think it's just massive overs.
Yeah. And LDU's 25, turning 26 this year. Yeah. So he's basically in his prime now, more or less.
He's got 1 BNF, which he won last year.
Yeah.
Never been in an All-Australian squad.
You could win BNF, anyone could win a BNF in North Melbourne, in the last few years. So.
And on top of that, his numbers aren't as good as his last 2 years already this year. And you're kind of hoping, if you're paying 1.3, you probably want to be someone who's going to stand out in the Brownlow or All-Australian conversation.
Who do you guys think would be in that 1.3 bracket? Because there's probably only 10 guys that can make that much.
Yeah. I reckon Bond's up there.
Bond, Dacos, Cripps, Merritt.
You think someone like Sam Taylor? would be worth that much.
Oh, yeah, he
agree.
would. But do they pay key defenders that much? I
think if he was to put his hand up to move to Melbourne, someone would pay that much.
Free agency, you seem to get a little bit more money than you do normally, I guess.
Yeah.
But St Kilda's one of those teams that's just going after every free agent. They would have offered him a boatload, and North Melbourne would have got a compensation pick in the first round for it.
Yeah. No, look, it's one of those ones, I'm happy for them that they kept him, but I don't know what it's going to mean long term.
Yeah. And not to bash on North Melbourne a little bit more, but I quickly wanted to bring up the Good Friday match.
Yeah.
It's kind of been North's marquee slot for a little while.
Yeah.
Do you think people care about the Good Friday match? Like, do you think it's something we need to have a real kind of two superstar teams clashing on that day?
They're never going to do that because they'll always want to have North Melbourne having that time slot. They want to be like, well, let's give another big team that...
Was it St Kilda? Was it St Kilda originally and had one bad performance got taken off it?
No, they pumped North, I think, and then they took it off. But I remember
the doggies were in there for a bit as well.
And then Essendon were in it for a while.
Maybe Essendon. I can't remember. One team's really unlucky to have lost it from memory.
I feel like it's a good opportunity to give one of these marquee matches to an interstate team as well. Like I actually didn't mind the West Coast Essendon game because I know they've had some great clashes in the past. I go throughout history, you know what I mean?
One of the things for me, and I think the AFL's starting to cotton on to it in terms of like gather round. I think some of the best games are Adelaide and Port games, but not against each other, which obviously that's great. Just like Adelaide versus like a big Vic club at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah.
It's always a great atmosphere, great game. Like Adelaide Geelong, I know that was in gather round, but like when they play Collingwood, when they play Hawks, like it's just huge. When Port play Hawks, it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's such a good atmosphere down there. That's why the showdowns are so revered, I guess. Mm-hmm. Mick, what have you brought to the table this week?
What have I got? I've got like...
He's going to bag North again as well.
I love bashing North, but I'm not going to bash...
You go for West Coast.
So I brought what I've learned. It's kind of like with your little rundown sheet that I went through. And also the coach that's under pressure is Fremantle.
Yeah, okay.
So what I've learned is... I think Fremantle have done a lot of talking in the off-season. And a lot of guys on this panel...
Yes, I was the mouthpiece of Freo.
which I don't... They had good players and all that stuff, but they haven't really done much. Even last year, they didn't play finals. Obviously, the year before that, they played in a semi against you guys and got knocked out at the MCG. But I just think, even if you look at the games they've won, they beat West Coast, who are no good. they beat Richmond, who obviously they're a very young team, and they beat a wounded Western Bulldogs team, which is all right.
And the doggies were in it the whole game,
And then they
lost to Sydney, who look like they've gone very, very average.
And then they had their statement game against. Should have been a statement game against Melbourne, who are 0-5 at the MCG. I don't know how many more games they've got at the MCG, and they go and lose.
How very stereotypical of a West Coast supporter taking pot shots at Fremantle.
Well, the thing is, when I'm not sticking with my early season prediction. I'm happy to own that I said that they were going to win it all, but I'm when you look back at the end of seasons, and I think it's going to be the case with Freo. This game to Melbourne will be the one that costs them like top 8 or top whatever. Yeah. Like the game that costs them a chance. You can't lose to an 0-5 team. Yeah. Like especially like people talk about, their injuries. Young's back. They've got Darcy back. There's not really that much out of the side.
It's basically just Fife that isn't really getting
Jackson.
A game. And Jackson,
I don't think Fife even fully fit would get a game, to be honest.
No. Yeah. So it's honestly, there's something with Freo where I got sucked in by them on paper. Yeah. But then when you actually see them playing, I think it's the coach. Yeah. I think
he's got no plan B.
No, but also like he's way too defensive.
Yeah.
All the best teams we've seen this season have been like so free flowing. Like handball game out of the back line. Freo to me just look like they just don't have like a clear identity.
I don't think it's that they don't have a plan B. I think it's more that they've got a game plan and it's not playing to what the successful teams in the competition are. Yeah. Like it's not fast moving ball.
But it doesn't play to their strengths. So you look at it and go, if Bolton was at Hawthorn or Collingwood or something, he would be like, he'd have like 15 goals this season. Like I know he's doing pretty well, but like they're not utilising their pace and their some of their players' ability.
Guys like Sharp and Young who can really run with it.
Look, if you've got a midfield of Sarong, Brayshaw and Young, you should be a top 4 side, to be honest.
Yeah. And right now, they're going to be playing catch-up for the rest of the season, and I can't see him going like on 5 wins in a row.
And that's the thing is you drop a game like that, you then have to pick up wins in other games where you probably aren't expected to.
Yeah.
And I know we've got them, down the track, like not too far away. I think we got them over there, and we generally have a pretty good record against them. So it's like,
those are the kind of games they need to get up on.
They need to have wins in those games now,
which is tough. And I think they're a quality side, but I actually looking at the draw and kind of doing my predictions. I think they're going to miss the 8. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I think I don't think
they'll play top 4 now, and I think they need to be top 4 to really go that next step.
There's just too many good teams. Like you look at it right now, Hawks are in like 6th or something now.
That's the thing. I thought like Fremantle could be a top 4 team, but now like you look at teams, there's like I feel like Hawks are better than them, Pies are better than them. I still think Brisbane, GWS. That's 4 teams.
And you look at the Suns. The Suns have had a really good run as well. So like if they cement a spot in the 8, that knocks someone else that you thought was going to be in there.
You know what? Freo's probably lucky that Gold Coast did an even worse performance this week because that probably takes a little bit of scrutiny off them.
A little bit of the mick off them. Look, guys, moving on. Look, last year we had some incredible runs, I guess, after poor starts of the season. So I'm talking about teams like Hawthorn, Collingwood, Brisbane. And I'm curious, do you guys think there's any teams in the competition that are kind of possibly in the same boat? So I'm going to run through a handful and you guys tell me, are there any shot of making a late run possibly to finals? So we got Melbourne who are 1-5. No. They've got Richmond and West Coast twice coming up as well during the season.
We'll beat them at Perth.
You'll beat them at Perth, you think?
We beat them last year, we'll do it again.
I don't see it with Melbourne. I think coming back from 0-5 is pretty brutal.
I mean, people said the same thing about the Hawks last year as well.
Yeah, that's true.
I reckon, but Mitchell's a better coach than Goodwin as well.
To be honest, I think Melbourne really got themselves up for that game against Freo.
Yeah.
Because they were sort of like a backs to the wall, but I don't think they've got it.
You don't think they can keep it going?
I think they'll do better than I thought a week ago.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'll make it.
Like Fremantle, I don't think they have a run of like 5-6 games in a row that they just win.
Yeah.
I think they might, like you said, they might beat Richmond, West Coast, and then they'll lose 2 in a row against better teams.
I do like the Viney tagging move.
Yeah.
I think that's a positive because he was sort of treading water as just like a midfielder. I think all the good sides are tagging these days. And it makes sense. Like, you just take down an opposition gun.
Yeah, well, you should know going for Collingwood. I mean, I think you almost have to tag Nick Dacos nowadays.
He's impossible to tag. If you tag him, you'll get 20.
It's not impossible to tag, but it's
impossible.
The problem with tagging is that you see all these big kind of zone structures, and all of a sudden, if you got someone out of that structure, it kind of screws up the rest of the flow, I guess. Yeah, so it's a big decision how you're going to manage that. Unless you're playing one-on-one footy, really.
Yeah.
You literally got to bring back like Ryan Crowley.
Yeah.
to tag him.
Guys, what do you think about Carlton being 2-4?
I think they're the team out of the lot that are down the bottom that can go on a run.
So they've got West Coast, North and Essendon twice as well, and 12 of the next 17 in Victoria.
By the way, this has been annoying, and I know people are rolling their eyes when Collingwood fans start talking about the fixture, but Carlton are 6 games into the season and they've already played Richmond, West Coast and North. Yeah. And they play West Coast again in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, this is...
And they've got North again.
Actually? Do they actually have North and West Coast twice?
Yeah. And they made finals last year. We finished 9th. Our double ups are against Adelaide and Melbourne from that bottom 6 bracket.
It's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Look, it's pretty incredible. I think everybody's writing him off, but I think that this is also where Carlton kind of thrives where there's no pressure on them.
I 100%.
And these are the kind of teams that kind of Charlie's kind of won his Coleman's off. You know what I mean? He's been kicking bags at 10.
True, but like I reckon we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves with Carlton. They beat up on like two of the worst teams of the last 3-4 years.
The thing is, they play the Cats this week. I give them a sneaky chance.
You know what I'm waiting for as well? There was some footage of Wiedering on the bench right at the end of the game, and like it looked like he mouthed to Sard PCL.
So
or
I
something
saw
like
that. There's no way he said that.
I'm just interested when the injury report comes out this week whether there's anything lingering there.
They were up by 80 points. They just took all the guns off.
Wait and see. All right, guys. This is a big one because we've already brutalised them. But North Melbourne 1-5.
Nope.
Look, guys. Can I just say Hawthorn was in the exact same position last year,
No.
and no one gave them a chance as well. I mean, they still got some really good players when you look at their forward line, their midfield.
They got good young talent, and besides Larky, I don't think they're that good of a team.
That's
my
sweet.
opinion. They got good young talent. They'll be a good team in a few years, but
I also think Clarko's a bit washed. That's I don't know if that's controversial or not, but
I don't think so.
I think the game. Look, he was a great coach. Sometimes the game just like passes you, and I'm not sure if he's. Like we've seen a lot of the premiership coaches have been like modern coaches.
Yeah.
You know, like embrace like different mantras, and I don't know if he's the guy.
Yeah, that's fair. And last one, Sydney being 2-4.
They're a team that can go on a run, but they look a bit iffy as well.
I feel like as soon as Gordon left that side, they've kind of just lost that extra spark.
Honestly, I think Warner is having a really poor season.
Yeah.
Good for us.
The last two games.
Yeah, he'll fit in great at West Ham. And it's funny because like even Harley Reid, like the speculation of him leaving and then his form just plummeted.
Yeah.
And it's like, Sydney to me, they've always sort of found a way to kick goals without forwards, but I think now it's just hit like a breaking point where it's like McLean just doesn't look like he's up to it to me.
Yeah.
The other big man got injured the other week.
Well,
what's his name? Amadi got injured.
And Papley's a massive loss. I know he's been out for a while, but
they've lost quite a bit actually.
But the other thing with Sydney, and you see it with teams when they sort of hit form, is they had guys in their team that are currently playing that were playing out of their skin last year that just haven't hit the ground running this year.
Yeah.
I remember last year watching and being like, Justin McInerney, I didn't know he was this good. And, there's a host of guys that just haven't, sort of.
I think the biggest issue is with their forward line at the moment.
Yeah.
And we saw Francis come in as a sub, kick 3 goals as well. But it's also, that bigger question is also around Jamara.
Yeah.
And there's been talks that like no Victorian team is really willing to give him a
I
look
think
at the moment.
He'll go to Sydney. That's my prediction,
Here's the thing as well. Like Sydney's got, because I've been looking at the draft, right? Sydney's got 3 academy picks possibly.
It's tough.
And if you look at the point structure, like it's really tough trying to get these players in. So they're going to have to make a decision.
Like an early round for Warner, then they could use that for Jamara or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well they might.
You know what though? I think Jamara at this stage, just one first round is enough.
Yeah.
If he played the whole year and wanted to leave, I would say it's more than that.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
I think Bulldogs need him out at this stage, and I think it's just like similar to sort of like when I think it was like when Treloar was sort of moved on from Collingwood. It was like it was massive unders. I think in this situation, it's like, just to have him gone, I think it's worth just one.
The interesting part now as well, with Darcy obviously being injured, Jordan Croft's in the wings, so I'm keen to see how he goes because he could really stamp his name. I also thought Aaron Norton looked really good without Darcy.
He looked
Darcy
decent, like he's like got that main focal point.
Yeah. I think maybe that's what he needs to be successful because he's been pretty quiet otherwise throughout the year.
Yeah, well, they need him to step up now.
Yeah,
it's crazy how they've gone from having the most elite big man stocks to having now like relying on Norton for the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Do you like give the thumbs up to that move for Jamara to go up to Sydney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it makes the most sense for him to get a change of scenery and
out of the spotlight of the
and
Victorian bubble.
Sydney, need a player of his quality.
Quick one going back to you, Mick, because me and Flynn and I have been really vocal about West Coast and their list strategy and their draft and everything.
I know you text me all the time.
You just said that you are you'd be happy giving up a first rounder for Chad Warner. So is that right? So if you finish with pick 1 or pick 2 this year, you are happy giving that up for Chad Warner?
I think we need seasoned bodied players in the team.
Do you feel like
I know I know we need to go to the draft and stuff, but I still think we need a really big bodied ready made midfielder in the team.
West Coast have a couple of they got some draft picks
we
for
got
next
some
year
futures and stuff as well.
Off Hawthorn or Carlton?
Yeah, they got some Hawthorn ones.
No,
as well.
Hawthorn. Because we stuffed up.
Yeah,
we could have been trading with Carlton. We'd have got there lower because obviously.
But whatever, you never know until the end of the year. But yeah, I still think West Coast needs to have one eye on the draft.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. To me, I think Warner is a mistake.
Yeah.
It feels like another Tim Kelly. where he'll rock up and you'll just be like, we gave up so much for this guy.
With Tim Kelly, what I feel is I think we were in the window still for a premiership, and I think we're like, let's just sell the farm and go for one more kind of flag, and obviously didn't work out. We had COVID year and everything kind of just stuffed up after that. It's
also, how does Warner adjust, because he's used to a pretty rich winning culture at Sydney,
and we've seen how poor he's been this year without Goulden.
Yeah,
I don't know if he will be the same quality and the other thing is just the leaving a team like Sydney that's been contending to go play for West Coast.
Yeah,
it's basically a financial move as well as moving home.
Yeah,
the only thing that
works, is there going to be a motivation there to perform?
The only thing that works kind of in his favour is he's obviously still 23 or whatever it is.
I think he's
got years that we can build a team around him. So I still think we have to try to get these A-grade players to help the younger players.
I actually think that Raul would be a better fit than Warner. Not that you could get him, but I'm saying, but I think that
I swear it was you or Padge wrote off Raul in the early predictions, when we did the early podcast.
Definitely wasn't me.
I swear it's we were talking about Raul go to Collingwood, and then Padge was why would he even want to go for a player like that? The game's gone past him and all this.
Oh, wow.
I swear,
that's...
Yeah, you might need to rewind the tape on that one. I don't know who said that.
I swear it's Padge. I say it's everyone, a lot of people have gone past Matty Rao.
Okay. All right, let's move on to our shake and bake of the week, boys. All right, I might throw it over to Flinny first because I know he's been waiting for this one.
Mate, so I've got a shake for you. I don't have a bake.
All right.
And it pains me to compliment anything Carlton related, but so Nisha will be happy with this one, our resident Carlton fan. My shake goes to George Hewitt, who I think is having an unbelievable season, and he's flown under the radar his whole career.
Yeah, agreed.
And he's sat in a midfield behind Cripps and Walsh and Chera and a bunch of others. He had 34, a goal, 12 clearances and 9 tackles against North. Clearly best on ground. But right now, so I mentioned all those blokes that he's playing alongside. Right now he's leading Carlton for disposals, score involvements, goal assists, contested possessions, tackles and clearances.
Jesus.
Basically everything.
So he is miles in front in their BNF right now. Miles.
Yep.
And I think he'd be in the All-Australian team, probably in the squad of 40 right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how good his season's been.
All right, Mick, what do you have? What do you bring to the table this week?
My shake, because I basically just watched the West Coast Eagles versus Essendon game. I was a very busy man through Easter.
Nice of you to be on a footy podcast.
So the player I've chosen is Elijah Hewitt. I think...
of course, the one you kind of kept talking about all pre-season.
Yeah, and
he's finally shown something.
Didn't play a game all last year. I think it was the 500 odd days coming back from injury and all that. So he's finally shown what lot of the me and a lot of the Eagles fans, I can really see like he had 22 possessions, kicked 2 goals, and like they were saying, like obviously in pre-season stuff, he's got that real Chris Judd kind of esque movement and stuff as well. So you know, you get him fit and firing for the rest of the season. A lot of we could have lots of more positive outcomes with him. So that's my what was it? My shake.
Your shake of the week. All right.
So I don't have I do have a bake, but I don't really need to go into it.
Nah, give us the bake. Give us the bake.
Well, the bake's not really only about a play. It was about that kid that threw the thing at Aaliyah.
Oh, at Aaliyah.
It's the 16-year-old.
No, 13-year-old apparently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, apparently he's in police custody and stuff now, which is a bit over the top, but
honestly, lock him up. if he has to, I won't be happy unless he hears the bars clink tonight.
In all honesty, though, for someone like, if it's a younger fan, do you feel like the punishment should be less?
Less.
Yeah?
Do you think he did it on purpose? Do you think it slipped out of his hand?
No.
Nah,
way,
because
no
when you kind of look at the footage, he kind of does aim for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then when Aaliyah went up to him, he like absolutely like he backed off real quick.
Yeah, he got back into his seat.
Yeah.
But you could tell it's one of those brain fade, you got the motions, got better of you. But at the same time, you got to kind of have a hard stance if you're the AFL on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think at least.
I was going to say, just going back to Elijah Hewitt, I was, you didn't mention the fact that, so he had like a really poor first half against the Bombers. He only had 1 possession in the first quarter, 4 in the second quarter. Third quarter, he had 11 touches and kicked a goal, 2 marks. Like, that was like 3 score involvements. Like, his third quarter was as good a quarter of footy as you'll see from any player.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a good player.
Yeah, he looks like it. But, you know, can't go off one game. So we'll come back to the conversation, Mickey, I feel like, throughout the year.
Playing alongside Chad Warner and Harley Reid and Elliot Yeo, that's when you'll see him flourish. So.
Mate. I don't think Elliot Yeo's going to be playing anytime soon.
All right, for my shake and bake, I've got one of each.
Okay.
I got a bake, and I thought one of you boys would take this, but Jacob Constanti.
Oh, I wish I'd remembered that.
Shushing the crowd after being down by 73 points. I mean, come on, mate.
The thing is, right, I had never even heard of him when North picked him up.
Yeah.
Because he'd been on Sydney's list but hadn't played a game.
Yeah.
When he played against Sydney, I was like, this guy seems like an absolute tool. Because all the Sydney players were like getting stuck into him and he was really giving it back to him. And I was like... But it wasn't in like, usually when in their like ex-teammates, you can tell when it's sort of like a jovial, like we're buddies sort of thing. Whereas his seemed a bit more nasty.
Okay.
And I was like, this guy, I'm feeling this guy's just a bit of a wanker.
Well, this guy an ex-Sydney's ones.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the one who injured Callum Mills?
Callum Mills' shoulder. So that he was wrestling him in the off-season and he broke his shoulder.
He probably did it on purpose.
I know we bashed North enough, but they have this habit of picking up these like stragglers on lists that can't get games, and then it just starts to work out. Biggie Nguyen was another one last of the year, and then
this is something that I've spoken about heaps, where I'm like, I feel like players when they feel like their AFL career is coming to an end, start like trying to sell themselves to North. It used to be Gold Coast players when they were like, if it was like a 30-year-old key forward, like leave like Hasbolt or something, they're coming out of contract. You'll hear them start being like, oh, you know, like really happy to move. I don't mind where I go. I really like, you know, the beaches in Queensland. They start like almost like telling everyone, I'm keen to go
where they want to go.
And it's similar with North, and like a guy like Constanti to me, I feel like he should be, if you're on a list for 2 years and you don't play a game, you need to go back to the VFL and prove that you can actually make it at the level. When I see trades like that, I'm like, what's the point there?
There's so much talent in the drafts nowadays, so you can bring so many guys in.
Yeah.
And small forwards, you only get like the old saying is you only get like 1 or 2 years to kind of show your worth.
Yeah.
Key forwards can sit on a list for about 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, before they show anything. Look, and a quick shake, Camden McIntosh. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he was, like the taunting and gestures you do while you're standing on the mark to put your opposition off. Camden had one where he pulled up a phone to his face, started having a full conversation. I just thought it was brilliant.
I've seen someone do that before. It's so funny.
I saw him doing it. I was
distracting.
just like, this is brilliant. Like it's like, you know how the Hawks have their celebrations. We need to see more of the man on the mark having their own kind of.
I'll tell you what's funny with AFL is how you get so used to rules that do you ever go back and watch old games and watch the man on the mark like moving around and be like, 50. I do that all the time with. Do you ever watch like a guy like having a kick after the siren in an old game? There's 20 guys on the mark and they're doing like handstands and jumping around. And it's like you could never do that now.
No 5 meter protective zone, none of that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, moving on. Look, we're going to our thumbs up, thumbs down segment. So here's how it's going to work.
Heads up, thumbs down.
I'm going to give you a statement, and you got to give me thumbs up or thumbs down on it.
Okay.
All right.
Do we have to agree on the same one?
No, you don't have to. No,
right.
It's each to your own.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one, Noah Balta should not have been playing for Richmond this week.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Both agree?
I don't think he shouldn't be playing until whatever's done with the whole.
Well, I mean,
legal.
His case is on Tuesday.
Yeah, which is tomorrow.
Yeah.
The time we're filming this. And look, and the prospect is that he's probably not going to cop any jail time or anything significant. So he'll be probably playing again next week. So do you have an issue with that?
Nah. The only thing is a lot of people are giving crap to Richmond about this. If the AFL stepped in and said we don't want him to play, he wouldn't be playing.
Yeah.
It's an AFL decision. It's not Richmond are making the decision based on the fact that the AFL have not given them any guidance.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
What, the AFL, or was it AFL or Richmond that gave him the 4 weeks or whatever?
The AFL.
The AFL.
AFL.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, I think it's a bad look just in general in terms of like, wanting to cut that sort of stuff out of society. I
just think like it's very like hypocritical. Like AFL are the teams that really try to get in your face about all social things and and then someone in an AFL team goes out and nearly kills like 3 guys or whatever it was, and then they're like, it's fine. Let's give him 4 weeks off, and then it should be fine. Yeah.
Well, I think the AFL's just kind of been caught lacking. They don't really know what to do themselves. They have all this print about one punch, king
exactly
hits and stuff like that.
And that's a gripe of mine. I think there's no bigger hypocrites than the AFL.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's really frustrated me recently is, and it's not always the AFL, it's often the broadcasters. They're promoting games by showing things that were suspended for. So they'll promote a game, like even today's game, the Geelong Hawthorn game. They were promoting it by showing like, things that guys got suspended for in different games. And it's like, well, I think it's a bit,
it's like the Hinkley situation.
Yeah,
last year.
100%. It's like
even like when they used to like promote derby games, they'll show like the famous derby, like the demolition derby punch on. They'll show all that and stuff. They're like, But then they're like, oh, we have a tough stance, but also like we want people to be interested in this because of the fights.
Okay. Spot on.
And I believe I read somewhere, I think NRL has, and I think they probably need it because they have a lot more players that go to court and stuff. I think they have like a policy around players being stood down if they're facing like criminal offences or whatever it is. So I think AFL probably need to look into that.
Yeah, no, definitely. All right, moving on. Second one. The Pies are too old to win the flag this year. Thumbs down.
I actually was meant to put them in my shake. I think they're back to that 2023 form.
Yeah.
I reckon right now they're the team to beat.
Yeah. Think they're the team to beat? You agree, Flynn?
I agree.
All right, number 3. The West Coast Eagles will be the wooden spooners this year. Thumbs down.
I still think, you go.
Thumbs up. Finally got one with Split.
I think you said it before. The first few games we played Brisbane, GWS, Fremantle. True. We played Carlton.
Yep.
No one expected us to win. The way we lost
Gold Coast would have been a good team.
Yeah, Gold Coast are an up-and-coming team. Yeah. But then you see teams against Essendon, who I don't think that they're that great as well.
Yeah.
I reckon we should have won that game as well. We just got overrun, but I still think we could beat. I think we got North. I'm assuming we have them twice. We got them once in Perth. I think we should beat them there.
You know what? I'm going to say they won't win. He's made some good points.
Yeah.
I think
Richmond, I guess, is the other team you're probably tossing up with, and they've already got 2 wins on the board.
That's the thing which annoyed me the most, because now we got to win.
So we've got to win 3 games.
So the question is, can West Coast win 3 games?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They could, from what I saw against Essendon, prior to that game, I would have said no. But that game, I felt like everything just looked a lot better. Yeah. They just look to be like, especially when McGovern's back. The back line just looks totally different.
He's a one-man show down there sometimes.
He's so good.
He doesn't get like the plaudits he does anymore. I think
it's crazy how, and maybe this comes down to like a Vic bias or whatever, but I feel like he doesn't get enough credit.
I'm
agreeing with you. So Kane Corns the other day did a thing where it was like, blokes, he did a list which was like the top 10 players or 20 players that will become Hall of Famers as soon as they retire. And it was like, Bontempelli and Cripps, and had a long list. No McGovern. It was like a 5-time All-Australian.
Yeah, I think I did see that,
Vlosten, who I think's been one of the best defenders of this era, has never been All-Australian.
Okay.
McGovern's got 5. He's pretty impressive.
He's an absolute beast. He doesn't get enough credit. I'm kind of surprised he's not actually captain of the club, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's just the age bracket. I think we're just going for a younger.
Fair enough. All right, the Suns are playing finals this year. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Still going to go with up.
Yeah.
Still.
I think because of the start they had, like they shouldn't be missing out from now.
No. But also they've played literally no one.
Yeah, but they had and they still had the easiest draw. I think
they beat Adelaide.
But the thing is, when I say no one, yes, they beat Adelaide.
Yeah.
But I'm saying based on last year's ladder, they haven't played anyone above 12th yet.
And they lost to Richmond as well. So that's typical Suns.
That's the big question. Like, is that kind of it's still the same old Suns, or is it more?
The thing is, though, I expect them to have performances like that, but still win enough games at People First or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Well, not Metricon anymore.
No, I think it's called.
All right, that was supposed to be it, but I'm going to add one more here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Michael Flynn.
Yeah.
Is doing a great impression of Oleg Markov with the Mo this week on the couch.
Thank you.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I just need some tattoos and stuff. but I also have to be slightly have some issues.
You gotta get like the little
flick.
Yeah. The little flick, yeah. All right, I think that wraps up the show for us this week, boys. Big thank you for coming down to Flinny. Mick, as always, good luck to your teams next week.
You got the Hawkers, Jamie?
You got the Hawkers, yeah? Are we going to put a little bet on?
No. Well, you got...
where is it?
Marvel.
Oh.
No Nash, so...
No Nash, yeah.
So I'd put Eagles by 5
goals. Quick one. You all seen the Conor Nash incident from the Easter Monday?
Yeah.
Clash, what do you think?
3 weeks minimum.
I'm saying he ends up getting 5.
Can he get 5? Because I think Scrimshaw did the same incident and it got classified high and severe.
Yeah, but this will go to the tribunal. It won't even
you think so?
The MRO.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be 5. I think, and I watched it a few times, and I've watched it. I've seen the Patrick Voss incident from last week, the Scrimshaw.
Yeah.
Those were sort of like I think the force was a lot less.
Yeah.
This was like a real roundhouse, and he was out. That was...
He was out before he hit the ground.
Well, the problem was with those other ones, the MRO judged them as severe. So what's higher than severe?
I don't think... I think once you get to the tribunal, they don't even
It's not even a grading kind of thing. No, fair enough.
Because, I mean, if you just can't... the Barry Hall incident on Brett Staker, that ticks all the boxes of the is that 3 weeks?
Fair enough.
So they have some discretion there. But
sorry, your mob has
Essendon.
I was
going to ask
you
boys. I'm not sure yet.
Not sure if you can get in.
We should all go down to the pub and watch it.
Oh, no, I can't be around these Essendon flogs like Zach. Now, mate.
Just call your flogs.
I was going to ask you boys predictions for ANZAC Day and predictions for the medal.
All right, I'm just going Collingwood by 35 points.
Yeah.
And the medal is just got to go to Bobby Hill.
Oh, Jamie,
okay.
you got a medalist?
Look at Pies again, comfortably.
Yeah.
Has Nick Dacos already won one?
Yes.
I think he wins another one then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Collingwood as well, but I'm going to go Pendles to win the medal.
Pendles.
Who I think he's already got 3.
And
so I think he's going to turn it on.
And Crisp is equaling the games record as well.
Equaling, yes, 244. 243.
Could you imagine he comes down with like about a gastro or something?
Oh, man. The funny thing is, so they interviewed him the other day after the Fox, after the game.
Yeah.
They said, have you had any close calls before? And he said he's played while he's been really sick a couple times.
Yeah.
And he said he's played through like hammy niggles and things like that.
Oh, okay.
And it just makes you wonder, like, how has he gone?
Yeah.
How has he not missed a game?
Yeah.
What do you reckon's a bigger honour for him? Equaling that record or getting Sabrina Carpenter to like replay
Sabrina Carpenter
on Instagram?
By the way, how quickly do you think he DM'd Sabrina Carpenter after she commented?
He's married, isn't he?
I swear he's had like...
Mate, have you never heard of a hall pass, Jamie?
If Sabrina Carpenter messaged me or something,
Mate.
You're married as well, mate.
I'm not married anymore.
All right. Again, thank you, boys, coming down this week. As always, enjoy our content. We're also in podcast form, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts. So give us a subscribe, a listen, all that good stuff.
North fans comment and tell us why we're all dickheads. Why we're wrong. Tell us why we're wrong about North.
we won't be wrong, but go for it.
Big thank you, guys. Hope you all had a good Easter. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.